Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a lot of work on the engine, and we're going to be doing a lot of work and painting on the body. Stay tuned. Getting started on the engine today, Oscar is going to be in charge of swapping out the rod bearings. So we've talked about this a lot of times before, but on these S85, the V10 BMW engines, the rod bearings are known to fail. And since we bought this from a high mileage car that did not have good maintenance, we decided that we want to do the rod bearings right away. So this is a fresh set of rod bearings. That's what they look like right here. We should hopefully have enough. I counted, we have enough. And to access it, the way that you do it is you come in from the oil pan. So we're gonna be following a tutorial online that has it's very, very detailed on how to do it. I'll even put a link in the description if anybody at home needs to change your rod bearings out. But we've never done this on this car before, so we're just gonna be following the tutorial and working our way through it as anybody else would. First step though is we gotta go ahead and pull the oil pan off. While Oscar is over there in the shop working on the engine, Eric and I are working on fixing the paint. I'll explain that in a second, but I gotta do a recoat of some of the stuff on the interior, just some of it. And then we're also gonna do a coat on the bottom, and then today, hopefully, if we have enough time, we're gonna do the epoxy primer on the top. Now, so yesterday we showed you what the inside of the car looks like. Now it's time to show you what the outside of the car looks like. We told you guys we're gonna wrap it, and the wrap is in progress. So in here, this is Travis from Canyon Sport Wraps, and he is the one that's gonna be wrapping the whole car. And this is our color that we're gonna use. The lighting in here is a little strange, but this is the 3M Gloss Sky Blue, and it's also called Yas Marina Blue oftentimes. It's really similar to that color at least. So Travis is gonna be wrapping all of the body panels for the car. Today we're focused on the ones that are dry and ready to go, and then once these are dry and we block sand them, he's gonna take care of those, and then eventually the whole car too. So he's gonna get started right here and kind of just a quick time lapse, show you guys how to wrap these over fenders. That is so awesome to see those panels getting vinyl wrapped. So it's just so nice to know that I don't have to worry about painting another thing, because I'll be really honest, I'm really tired of it. So while we were sanding this stuff down and we were repainting it, the front went off very, very well. The front of the car went really well. What I saw when I came back in today is that we got a couple runs in some key parts where we just don't want to have any runs. We don't want to have any imperfections. And we had some dry spots and we had some dry spray. What that was from is because the detail gun that we bought a detail gun, cheap one, it was broken, so I tried to use the big gun. When you get the big gun in places like this, you hit your cup on different things and stuff like that. It was very hard for me to navigate, so I really need to be using a detail gun on this stuff. So what we did was we bought a detail gun. We're gonna sand and remove all the imperfections from all of the roll cage bars, because they're the only things that'll actually be seen on here. The roof turned out just fine, and the rear quarters on the inside and stuff, those are all fine. So it's just the bars that we want to really fix up and make sure that they look 100%. So we're gonna sand all those down right now and get that going. Eric's in charge of all that sanding. Sorry, a lot of stuff going on today. And I am in charge of undercoating. So the bottom of this car is bare steel, and that cannot be, so we're gonna use Raptor liner on the bottom of it. But before you can do that, you have to prime the metal. So I'm gonna go ahead and be rolling underneath the car and prime up all of the bottom of the car. Okay, Eric got all the framing for the roll cage all sanded up. I've got the undercarriage a little more than halfway primered. So Eric is moving on to sanding the roof now. We're gonna use a 240 grit. We're gonna go through all the clear, make sure there's no of this crappy clear left on the body of the car whatsoever. And then we're gonna go slightly into the paint, sand it up a little bit like this and clean up all the edges and make sure it's all smooth. Let's check in with Travis, and then we're gonna check in with Oscar. Okay, so Travis wrapped this first panel here, but because of kind of where we are and the limitations of this space, it's just not really good enough. So we had a couple problems with a little bit of like adhesive stretch causing lines. Is that what it's called? Adhesive stretch? And yeah, and then we had a little bit of contamination, which is no surprise considering the table that we have here for him to work on. So the solution is really simple. This is beautiful and this looks awesome, but we're gonna rewrap it. And Travis is gonna go ahead and wrap the rest of this stuff that is the small stuff like the over fenders and our rear spoiler and maybe our front bumper at his shop. So you guys, I'm gonna put a link in the description. You're gonna see Travis come back in a couple days when we have all the rest of the panels on the car and we're gonna wrap those on the car. But I'll put a link in the description to his website. If you're in the Portland metro area, you guys check it out. If you're looking for a car wrap, he's helping us out in a huge, huge way getting ready for SEMA, and we're doing a really, really detailed wrap. So super awesome. You guys definitely check it out. Hit the link in the description. Okay, so we're gonna get Travis packed up and then Oscar's got the oil pan off the engine over there. Here's the oil pan uninstalled on the ground, and you got your oil pan gasket right here. Inside, everything's looking in pretty good condition. And then, I mean, it's gonna be really, really hard to film, but there's these little caps on these bearings right in front of the camera right there. And you can kind of see, is it a Torx? It's not a Torx, it's a regular socket. So anyways, you rotate the crank until you can get these things and they'll face down at you, and then you undo them and then you can take the bearings out of them and you can replace them. At least that's what I've read on the internet. But Oscar's done this before. Oh, that one's gonna be hard to access. It's got some stuff in front of it. Anyways, that's all for Oscar to figure out. Getting back on to bodywork, we're gonna change up the game plan just a little bit. So Eric's gonna DA that, and that was always the game plan. I'm gonna go ahead and apply the body filler that we need to the low spot over here. Reason being, we wanna be ready to paint kind of relatively at the same time, and body filler takes time to dry. So we're gonna put that up and lay that up, and then I'm gonna jump back underneath the car and continue with my primering, which you guys can kind of see this. By the way, this stuff is where if there's any rust or anything, you do that, it's rust converter spray. That's why it's a different color. All right guys, it's a new day and you can see the engine's kind of buttoned back up. That's because we ran into a total showstopper moment, one of the very few ones we've had on this build, and we had to take we had to stop work on the engine. So underneath there, we have rods and they're kind of like, and then you have the bearings and then there's a cap that holds the bearing in there. There's 2 bolts on each side. Those bolts could not be reused. When we started reading the torque specs, we found out that they are torque to yield bolts, meaning you can't reuse them whatsoever. So we had to order new bolts. Luckily, ECS Tuning is saving our butts once again, and they are overnighting me some new bolts. So we should be able to get back to work on this tomorrow. But for now, it kind of sits where it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back to body work. Same thing we had planned as before. Finish the primer on the underneath, do my underspray, and then we can start working on getting the outer spray done as well. Okay, well I'm in here. You guys, so many comments were left saying that we left this piece unwelded. It's not that it's unwelded, it's TIG welded, but right here, Eric just used the metal of the 2 different joints, so it goes down a little bit, and that's why it looks from, there was a shadow. So anyways, it's not unwelded, you guys are good. Well, we're good. You guys are also, I hope you guys are doing well at home too. Just finished up priming the underside of the car, so now it's time to look at our undersealing product. We're gonna use a truck bed liner. We're using Raptor liner. There's some discussion online about whether or not to use these because if they crack, if it cracks, it could leave a pocket that water could get trapped into and it'll be trapped right against the surface of the metal. I guess that would make sense and that is true, but I have had this on my FJ for well over a year and I used the hell out of that car and I haven't treated the paint very nicely or the Raptor liner very nicely. And it's super strong, super on there. Have had no chips, no cracks, no peeling, no nothing. So I have plenty of trust in this product. So we're gonna go ahead and use that. While I'm spraying that on the underside of the car, Eric's gonna be in here. We totally forgot about this part. So this is the part that holds our hood and our radiator and our oil cooler. Eric's gonna fully weld this out and then he's going to clean it, scuff it up, and spray the primer on it. That way when we do our next round of black paint, we will include this and our strut support bar. right, quick update. Eric got all this stuff welded up, cleaned up, and primered up. It looks fantastic. Wow, it really looks really good. Nice job with the hanging from the rafters. I like that. It's a nice touch. Our new bungee parts. Anyways, and then I'm halfway through with Raptor liner at the bottom of the car. Let's go look at that. The Raptor liner is looking really cool underneath the car and on these side parts. It's just like I remembered. It's going on great. Super easy to apply. And it's real good stuff. This isn't sponsored by Raptor Liner, but we have used their product before, and they actually have hooked us up with some before for a different build. I'm really, really impressed with this stuff, and it looks super cool. Cool enough, too, that we're gonna change up our game plan. You guys remember when I painted these floors, I was like, yeah, I don't care, just get some paint on them. Eric and I were talking, if we put Raptor Liner on them, they're gonna be even stronger, but then it's also gonna add some sound deadening, which I think is gonna be a big positive in this car. I think we want to add as much as we can. So we've decided we want to also Raptor liner these floors. And I think it just looks cooler too, although none of this is going to be seen. If somebody does, I want it to look cool. So Eric's going to start scuffing all this stuff up and taping stuff off that we don't want to get Raptor liner on. And then the game plan is to do the trans tunnel and this floorboard, and then work our way back and do the floor here, battery box in that section, and then this section back here. So basically the trunk floor and the cabin floor will all be done over now in Raptor liner. I really like the look of the interior so much better. All these parts that we're never gonna see again, I love the look of with the Raptor liner on here. So I'm glad that we did this. We had plenty of Raptor liner to do it. Actually, we had the exact right amount. And it's gonna add to the sound deadening as well, which is a good bonus. So it's a win-win. So right now we're masking off all these bars, or not masking them off, we're sanding them all up. We're paint priming them once again because it's been a little while since we did that. Getting them ready for the single stage black sapphire metallic. This time we're gonna spray it out of a detail gun. We're not gonna spray it out of the big giant gun. We're gonna get a lot less overspray. It's just gonna be overall much, much better. So just to recap, we're doing this one, those two, and then mainly these A-pillar bars right here. Those were the ones that had problems. All right, we're fully prepped up. We got the fans on. It's time to start spraying. Finished recoating the roll cage components, and I am very, very, very glad that we did that, and I'm really happy with the way that they came out. They really shined up a lot more this second time around. We just didn't get the paint on wet enough last time, and it was really strange not using a detail gun. If you're painting a roll cage at home, I really highly recommend using a detail gun with a nice small fluid tip like a 0.678. We used the Harbor Freight detail gun. It works, but we had to buy 3 of them to get one that didn't leak, so yeah, keep that in mind. So we redid this kick panel, and then we redid all those bars, and these ones. The only ones that we left really were the ones on the roof around there because they were nice and shiny to begin with. So now we're gonna go ahead and set up some heaters in here, warm things up, help the paint cure, and then we are gonna be, while we're doing that, we're gonna be masking off everything with this plastic so we can keep any of the outside sanding stuff from getting into our nice black stuff. So we're gonna mask off the whole entire car so we can start sanding. All right, we've got everything taped off. This is not taped off to be ready for paint. This is just taped off to allow us to do body work. The reason there's a difference is because, and we did it this way, is because the roll cage stuff is still too wet for us to tape off for paint. We're gonna need to wait till those door sills completely dry up. Then we can tape it all off to be ready to paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna be sanding on our body filler using the DA sander and the block sander and trying to get everything down smooth, and anything that I find that's not smooth, we'll get another round of body filler. well, we made some more progress. We got the 2 rear quarter panels sanded up smooth. I had to lay up a little bit of body filler there, a little bit more there, and a little bit on the other side. But we are basically ready for our final pass at sanding this thing, and then we should be maybe a tiny little nicks and cracks and stuff might need a little bit more body filler, but other than that, we are gonna be ready for paint. But unfortunately, it's way too late, so I'm not gonna get to paint today. I really planned on it, but it's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna stay up till 2, 3, risk making any mistakes or anything like that. I'm just gonna take the time, and we'll make it up in another day when it's not something that's so critical and scary. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like BS for Build, head over to our Patreon. The link is in the description, or head over to bsforbuild.com and find yourself some merch. Or I don't care, hit the subscribe button, or just keep watching. I appreciate you guys all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace! Come on.